What is going on, my people? How you doing? Let me go ahead and do a little check. I was trying to do this earlier. Let me know how I am sounding in your earbuds, or maybe not, maybe through your laptop, your desktop, or wherever you may be listening to this, my friends. I'm going to go ahead and just turn it up just a tad bit. Let me know what's good. Happy Monday to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Ozeal in the house. What's up, Jesse? Kaboom, baby. Kaboom. Look who stepped into the room. Your boy O to the Zeal. We're here. You know, I'm going to officially call this, by the way. Insiders know a little bit about this. Podcast Influence Live, ladies and gentlemen. That is the name of the show, Podcast Influence Live. I am your Latin host that loves you the most, Ozeal. And we're in here on a Monday morning. What sounds like butter, baby? I don't think I have a cool voice like you, Nick. Shout out to my boy Nick Stevenson. Smells Like Middle-Aged Spirit podcast with that silky. I can get my podcast voice, y'all. Check it out. Peep this, y'all. Check it out. You want? Okay, take a listen. Here we go. Peep it. Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is your host that loves you the most, Ozeal. You are tuned in to Podcast Influence Live. We are here, live and amplified, and we're here vibing with my people in Pod Houston, in Podcast Influence on YouTube, and also on LinkedIn. Welcome to the show. I am, that's my voice, man, not as smooth as yours, but you know, I'm trying to get there. Shout out, man. Yeah, man. Nick, you feeling that, man? Feeling that? What's going on? Okay, so check this out real quick. Let me go ahead and make a couple little things here. Little branding, you know what I'm saying? A little branding. Okay, here we go. Ozeal, the podcast coach and the curator, which I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit of what I discovered recently. In the chat, let me know how you guys are feeling. It's Monday, brand new week. You know, we got things to do. We got moves to make. You know, and, you know, we're going to be pumping out good content this week, y'all. The Quiet Storm. My boy Nick said it's the Quiet Storm. Yeah, baby. Yeah. I feel like, can y'all hear the music, by the way? I'm doing something here on StreamYard. Let me see. Hold on one second. Here we go. Hold on. Let me know if you can hear it. I can hear it on my end, but let me know if you can hear it on your end. Hold on. Check this out. Can y'all hear that? A little music in the background? Let me know. You hear that? Yeah. What's up, Jesse? Oh, okay. Oh, my. That's danger. What's up, Janu? What's going on? Dropping a new podcast episode tomorrow. Not next week. Tomorrow. Hello. So, look out for that. I'm excited. Okay, so we got some insiders in the house. We got Nick in the house. We got Jesus in the house. All right. So, listen, ladies and gents. As I mentioned, the name of the show is going to be called Podcast Influence Live, and I got some big plans for this. Not only am I holding myself to the fire to inspire, to take you higher. Okay, see how that works? I'm rhyming right now. 3 cups of coffee. We just got some coffee. Shout out to Mox Roasters. We had an event for Vid Houston. Juno, you know about this, and Jesse as well. And I had like 2.5 cups, maybe 3. So I'm like on fire right now, y'all. So I'm really, really like hyped up. So that's the reason why I was going to go for another cup. I'm like, no, let me just chill out. You don't want to scare your live folks here. So, we're in the house trying to make this happen. Hold on one second, y'all. My thing. Okay, here we go. All right. The Podcast Influence Live is the name of the show. We're going to be going exclusively in the Pod Houston group because that is our fam. Shout out to everybody in the Pod Houston community. If you are a podcaster tuning in or catching this on replay, we open our doors to all podcasters, really all content creators. So join us in Pod Houston. Dope community. I love it for many reasons. It's diverse. You have content creators that are on Twitch like Jesse that are killing it. You got podcasters like Nick and Janu. You got video content creators. It's a really dope community, and I am so proud of this group. So also, in addition to Podcast Influence Academy, which is an amazing mastermind group that I run with some also devoted hardcore podcasters and content creators. So podcast influence on YouTube, on Pod Houston community, and also on LinkedIn. Although, like, we haven't really been getting too much traction on LinkedIn, but hopefully we'll build that up. Sure. You share. Please do share. Okay, boom. What's going on? We got my man Alex De Leon. Alex is my dude. He gives me some feedback all the time with my podcast. I think he's my true loyal listener. He's always hitting me up in the morning when he catches the brand new episode, which, by the way, no permission needed. Brand new episode 148. The most underrated skill set no one talks about. Check it out and let me know. So shout out to my boy Alex, always tuning in and supporting. Music is okay, man. Okay, hold on. Let me turn that down, dude. You know what? I was trying to be cute, Nick, and play with it, and I totally forgot that it was. Thank you, brother. Let me turn that down. Hello there. Welcome to the Quiet Storm with Ozeal. How does that sound, Nick? I'll probably just turn it off, man. Honestly, I don't need it. Straight up vocal, so maybe just a little light. No, keep it light. Keep the little Quiet Storm vibe going, you know? Okay. How does that sound, Nick? Much better? I don't think it's loud at all. Boom, 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 boom. Shoot. Speaking of Twitch, branding activate Indocon. Y'all check them out. Alex, you're really big into Twitch. We were talking about this recently. Go check out Indocon. It's my boy Jesse Curtis. He's part of our mastermind group. He is a hardcore gamer, just a coach himself. He's a really awesome content creator. Another content creator with the golden voice, and just he's a dope cat. So go check him out on Twitch. Indocon, branded activator. I love it, man. I'm all about activation around here. So speaking of activation, okay, so I wanted to do this live stream. I had actually few ideas for this live stream, and I started thinking about some topics that I can jump into. Again, I have so many ideas for these live streams. I'm really excited, especially as it pertains to the podcasting content creator world. And in this episode, I want to talk about 9 powerful ways to niche down your podcast. Real quick, people in the chat room, drop your niche. So I want to know, what is your podcast niche? What is your platform niche? Put it in the chat room. And so I can highlight that. So what is your niche? Nick, boom, perfect. All right, my man. Thank you so much for the feedback, dude. Appreciate it. Drop your niche. So we have a lot of podcasters in here, obviously, but we also have other content creators. So if you're a content creator podcaster, drop your niche in the chat room, because that is the topic of today's show. So I'm playing the role of the curator today because I came across, and I can't take full credit for this, because I came across this post that somebody shared with me through a newsletter. It was a podcaster to another podcaster was like, yo, check this out. Let me know what you think. And this was inspired by another content creator who, he's an author. And I'll make sure that I drop it in there. His name is Nicholas Cole, who is the author of Become Known for a Niche You Own. Okay, Become Known for a Niche You Own, Why Legendary Writers Use Languaging to Design New and Different Categories. And I went through it, and it was so good that I had to share. And it actually even inspired me to come up with a couple more. So there's actually technically 7 that he listed, which were all dope. I'm going to be sharing with you today. But I added a couple more for you to check out. I think it was actually 8. No, it was 7. And I added 2 more. So it was dope because, finding your niche, and let me know in the chat room, finding your niche is tough. So many podcasters are challenged by niching it down. As they say, the riches is in the niches. And I love that statement. And I know sometimes when I have my coaching clients, one of the biggest challenges, and many people don't realize, like the first phase of launching any platform, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube channel, is nailing down your brand. And part of nailing down your brand, number one, is figuring out what is your niche, but even digging deeper as far as, and I talked about this last week, who's your audience and how can you specifically target that niche to help not only grow your podcast platform, but to really help a specific group of people. Because I remember learning this the hard way when I was a musician, where we felt like we're going to create music for everybody. And the truth is that we had like a hardcore group of people, uh, and they were, I mean, really into our music, but we felt like we weren't growing at some point. It became stagnant, and the music that we were doing, it was just not for a lot of people. And we were trying to really appeal to a lot of genres and a lot of demographics, and just, you know, trying to make sure the music for everybody, and music for everybody really doesn't work, you know, as you know. And if you see it like within hip hop, if you see it within pop music or rock, the more niche down you are, the more interesting you are to other people, and the more I feel like you can definitely exponentially grow your market, whatever it is. So I'm always teaching my clients, you know, niching down again is not the only the most effective way to grow in your audience, but it gives your brand definition, and it also gives your audience direction on where you're going with the podcast. And I always say this because people's like, well, I can't nail down my brand, but you know, what do I do? And I believe like just start, you know, put it out there. And then either number one, the market will tell you where to go, where to shift, or you will discover yourself. Like once you make a decision, shout out to anybody who listened to today's podcast episode. Once you make a decision to move, you start creating the content, and then you start discovering something about yourself and the way you want to put out the content out there. So it's a super helpful tactic that I use with my clients if they're struggling with nailing down a niche. But if you have a niche down, you definitely have a higher chance of growing your audience quickly and really building that raving fan base. You know what I'm saying? So let me know how you guys, if you guys follow me so far, let me know what's going on. Hold on one second real quick. Jesse, I think you dropped something here. Let me go and pick it up. One day I'll live up to your praise. Nah, brother, you are doing it, my man. You are definitely making it happen. I'm so proud of you, dude. So glad you're here too. So in the original post, Nicholas Cole talks about 7 ways to niche down your brand, right? And I started looking at it as, okay, this is amazing, but we can definitely apply this to podcasting. So let me break it down for you. And again, in the chat room, let me know, give me some feedback. I probably won't be stopping too much. I'm going to go through it, and then we'll do a Q&A, and then get some of your thoughts and put them up on the screen. So again, if this resonates with you, please feel free to share with your peeps online. And, you know, sharing is caring. So we appreciate that, y'all. We appreciate it. Okay, cool. So let me do something really quick. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Where am I finding my banners? Okay, here we go. Get it together, Ozeal. Boom. Number 1, how can you niche down by industry? Okay, so what am I talking about? Your podcast could be a podcast for healthcare startups, for early business entrepreneurs in the fitness game. You know, so think about where your podcast can fit in a specific industry. And I think that will be a great way to really nail down, or at least start honing in on a niche. Okay. And I'm gonna go through these pretty quickly because I definitely want to go ahead and vibe with y'all and get some feedback. But that's one way of niching down your podcast. The other way of niching down your podcast, and again, as I go through this, I want you to think about if your podcast fits in any of these categories. If it doesn't, then you may consider going back to this and thinking about how can I get a little bit more specific. And that's always like cringing, right? For a lot of, I know some of my clients are like, dude, I really don't like, I want this to be a lifestyle podcast. And I'm like, I get it. But if you can niche it down to a lifestyle podcast we'll get to that. Once you niche it down, you will find your marketing to be a lot easier, and your brand starts being more defined. And it's easier to market to your audience once you get really specific on who you're trying to target. So super important. The other thing I want to share with you and how you can niche down, number 2, is by demographic. Okay. So what do I mean by this? Your podcast is for middle-aged women, right? I believe, Nick, you're onto this, right? middle-aged spirit, right? Um, so middle-aged women, or your podcast could be for Latinx entrepreneurs. I mean, that's getting really specific. So thinking about the demographic, who are you going to target that can be tailored for a specific demographic? That is another way to niche down your podcast. Number 3 is by physical location, y'all. Physical location. So, for example, and I'm really big on this, and I think this is so underrated, and I'm seeing a lot more of it popping up in the podcast world. But your podcast for like Houston business owners, right? So let's say a podcast called Houston Business Talk podcast. Right now, you're going it by location. So this is really big for like a lot of local based podcasts that are centered around specific locations. That is another way to consider about niching down, right? So if you have a podcast in a certain city in Puerto Rico, how can you target, that specific area? I think it's another powerful way to think about niching down is by physical location. All right. So number 4 is by digital platform. So what do I mean by that? So Nicholas talks about, why not pick a platform online and target that particular niche? For example, your podcast for Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, etc. Marketing for Twitter growth, right? How about a podcast for marketing for Facebook growth, or Twitch marketing 101 or something? So think about, is there a certain digital platform that you are in love with and you're trying to grow and you're trying to bring more awareness to helping others expand within that digital platform? Well, you can launch a podcast within that digital platform and become the expert in helping others grow within that platform. Does that make sense? So that's another way that it's really, really powerful in niching down. I see a comment here. I see you. Hold on one second. Boom, boom. I'm going to pause here. Indokan, I see you. For coaching, creator, artist, branding, and that is for Twitch, game, comic, anime, convention vibes. And that is Indokan's, Jesse's brand right there, guys. It's coaching, creator, artist, and branding. So he is the branding guy for aspiring Twitch streamers. That is his niche, right? And that's another thing, right? A skill set, right? It's a specialized skill set that he's branding himself within, right? Branding expert for Twitch. See what we're doing there, Jesse? Like, that's why whenever we talked recently, I was like, yes, that's it. That's very specific. The branding guy for Twitch streaming. Platform, specialized skill set. Beautiful. And making a combination. Actually, I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Excuse me. Okay, so let me know how you guys feeling so far. And I really like this breakdown because, again, it just flowed well, and I love the way I've coached on niching down, but mine is a little bit more sticky note, more general, and I break it down and we get there. But I really like the breakdowns and the specifics on how we can do it. So I really just like this framework. Okay, and if you're joining in, say hello. We'll love to say and give you a shout out, post you up here on the Podcast Influence chat room. Okay, so the next thing. Let's go here. 1 second, guys. And by price, you can niche down by pricing. So Nicholas talks about this, and he was saying, X for free, right? So a podcast for free. And that quite didn't jive with me in regards to building a podcast platform. But I started thinking about podcasters. For example, there's a podcast out there called Eventual Millionaire, right? So there's a number behind that, right? And Jamie Tardy is the podcast host, and she interviews millionaires. So there's a number tied into the podcast. And that's a beautiful way of niching down, is getting specific on a number and then niche down that way. Another thing is, $100 startup podcast. That's another thing that's beautiful, right? It's $100 startup. So everything, the content's going to be centered around helping maybe side hustlers, people that are getting into the entrepreneurial game, how to start up for $100. You see what I'm saying? Like they're getting specific numbers and they're tying it in to their podcast brand. And that's just another way for you to niche down, is by price, by number. Number 6, by distribution. What am I talking about? So how about if it's like X for delivery is what Nicholas talks about. So how about if you say, get fit in 30, days podcast, right? So they are delivering their promise on a specific number within a time frame, right? Within 30 days, within 60 days, within 90 days. I know you see this a lot in a lot of coaching businesses and a lot of entrepreneurs online. They give you a specific deadline on when they're going to give you that delivery, right? Deliver on promise. So a podcast by distribution, right? Get fit in 30. That is also going to be, that could be a really good way to niche down, like a podcast brand series, right? Is to kind of say, we're going to do this in 30 days or in 60 days, etc. So again, podcast by distribution is another great way to niche down your podcast. Number 7, by problem. Okay. So for example, a podcast that's like marketing without the techie talk. Get it? So it's like maybe somebody is not a techie person, but they want to learn about marketing. That could be a niche, right? It could be more kind of strategy talk without getting into like the digital marketing world. So a podcast, again, marketing without the techie talk, is just a really great example of how you can niche it down by delivering it on the problem versus just keeping it in general. The other thing that I added, so those were 7 that Nicholas mentioned. The other thing I'm going to throw in there is a podcast niche that's by generation. Okay, can you break it down by generation? There's a podcast out there. He's a buddy of mine. His name is Adrian Porter. Shout out to Adrian. He's out in ATL. He has a podcast called Gen X Amplified. So his podcast is specifically tailored for Gen Xers, Gen X entrepreneurs. That's his niche, right? Another thing is it's actually a personal development podcast for Gen Xers. You can really target, millennial millionaires podcast, right? Gen Zs, you can target different generations and niche down your podcast that way to focus in on the information for that specific group, that generation. So that is another way to think about niching down, is by generation. And then last but not least, a combination, the remix. This is something that we did earlier with Jesse's podcast brand. But how about this? How about legal marketing, right? So we're talking about industry, right? Legal marketing for small law firms in Texas. Now we're combining 3, right? So industry, legal marketing for small law firm owners. Okay, that is the business, specific business type, right? In Texas or in Houston. Now you're bringing in the location. So you can even niche it down, even that, narrow down where you can really zero in and dial in on specific locations, demographics, industries, and then bring it in all together to create podcast content and build a brand around that. So those are a few tips. Let me know in the chat room. Let me know how you're feeling. Let me know what you think. Is there one that really resonates with you? Boom, boom, podcast hacks. So here we go. Podcast hacks, motivation for creative professionals through film and TV, as well as my personal journey. So that is Janu's brand. It's podcast. It's hacks and motivation, right? That is the promise for creative professionals. That's the group of people, right? Through film and TV, as well as my personal journey. So she talks a little bit about her personal journey. And Janu dropped in here that it's for millennials. So there you go. So I think it's important to keep in mind, Janu, and I'm not sure if we need to look at this as far as like your copy, but I strongly suggest that if you are in a niche, especially in the beginning and you're still building brand awareness around your podcast, I think it's important for you to make sure that you let people know what the podcast and who is it for frequently. So for my podcast, and I feel like I'm still playing with it, but it's a personal development podcast for coaches, creators, and community builders, right? But I feel like personal development is pretty broad, but I could even get more specific and talk about like mindset, right? I can get even more specific, and coaches is definitely an industry, right? And I've even considered whether or not adding all the other hyphens, right? Coaches and consultants and community builders, if that was too much. But I'm going with it because those are my people. Like, I'm a coach, I'm serving the coaching community, I'm serving community builders because I'm a community builder and I want to serve that community. And creators, right? That's also my people as well. And I want to talk about personal development because as we're building businesses, there's a lot of personal development that needs to take place in order for us to be successful, in order for us to build community centered around our brand. So that is my niche. So I would say really think about and make it very, very simple. So what I mean by saying it frequently is I want to continue saying like, hey guys, this podcast is a personal development podcast for coaches, creators, and community builders. Whether you mention that in your intro, but also you should use it in your copy for SEO, for your show notes. Let people know, because if you just say creative hacks, and people know what it is, but creative hacks for, millennial professionals, get very specific and let people know that it's for them. It makes the marketing easier. And it also, if somebody stumbles upon your podcast, they're more inclined to click on it if they check all the boxes. You know what I'm saying? So make sure that you're always conveying that message out to the world, whenever you're posting on social media. So let me know, Janu, does that make sense? Okay. And also Nick dropped in here. Hold on one second. He says, our niche is, if I had to say something, anything about the demographic, topics important or relevant to age 30 to 50, men and women, parents and entrepreneurs. So he is creating content that's centered around that demographic, and he uses the middle-aged spirit. So the name he uses who he's going to target within the podcast brand, which I think it's amazing. So it's great. And that's why whenever it comes like smells like middle-aged spirit, people who's middle-aged be like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm actually middle-aged. So that may be something I may want to check out. And I think with that, Nick, it's just a matter of, again, just conveying the message that smells like middle-aged spirit. It sounds like a really cool brand name, but whether there's a subtitle or within the copy, whenever you're promoting your episodes, make sure you let people know this podcast is for, middle-aged individuals, entrepreneurs, women, parents. You let people know specifically. It's a little broad when it comes to like parents and entrepreneurs, and you're kind of getting very, very broad with it. But I see what you're saying, and I feel like there's some tweaking to be we can make in order to really dial in on who we're specifically trying to target. But you cover a different topics, so I get it as well, man. But I think we can really make that a little more tighter, Nick, and get that 6-word, niche down. You know what I'm saying? Here's where I admit I failed the Podfather where it comes to the niche. We talked about that, Nick. Nah, man. Listen, here's the thing when it comes to like niching down, because I actually got in a couple of debates recently online with actually somebody on Clubhouse recently, and we were talking about niching down. And it goes to like even like monetizing your podcast. There's certain people who are going to look at metrics and what measures success in the podcast world differently, right? Everybody's going to have a different intention about how they're going to grow their podcast platform. And the same goes with like the niche, man. When it comes to niching down, somebody says, well, I don't want to niche it down, man. I really want to, I'm having fun talking about a bunch of topics. And I always say, look, go for it. Like, do you be happy. At the end of the day, this is your podcast platform, and you're going to have a lot of people saying, well, you should niche down. And I get it, because the proof is in the pudding. I have seen clients grow their podcast a lot faster when they niche versus general podcast, just because the marketing becomes a lot easier when you niche it down. Trust me, it is. It just makes it a lot easier. And then you can find out where they're hanging out at online, or create meetups, or go to a meetup where your people are at. And it's just easier to market. When it's a general podcast, it's a little more challenging. Not only is it challenging to market, but you'll find that the people that are coming into your audience, it could be very topical, right? So if they like political talk or they like certain things, that's great. But then they'll opt out when you get into a different topic. So it's really, really interesting, and it's kind of like a game of tug of war. You're going back and forth with your audience, but the more you niche it down, I feel like the better it is to market and to be able to give your people more direction, if that makes sense. But yeah, man, I don't think you failed at all, my man. You've been crushing it, and you have sponsors, and you're doing your thing. So as long as you're having fun with it, that's all that matters. Janu says, yes, sir. Love that. Got to be specific. Yeah, you got to be specific. And then more than being specific, but I feel like if you can just convey that to people, like you should be able to be. And I got challenged with this too. Like, what is your podcast? It's a personal development podcast for coaches, creators, and community builders. Like, boom, that's it. Right. You know, Nick, what's your podcast? It's a podcast where we talk about sports and latest news for middle-aged individuals, entrepreneurs, and creatives, or something like that, right? So it's snappy, and you got to snap with it, snap. You got to pop. You got to make it pop, because if you just say, hey, it's just a lifestyle podcast, we talk a little bit about relationships, we talk about politics and all that. And those shows really do well if you're super, super, super entertaining and you got a grind on you. Like you got some marketing chops, but that's still tough to scale, especially in the early stages. Boom, 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 boom. Good advice. Thank you, my man, Nick. I appreciate it, my man. Work in progress, my friend. Absolutely, dude. Yeah, man. I mean, I think it's all a work in progress. And I think it definitely takes time. It definitely takes time for you to build that brand. I know I've been on grind time for quite some time, and I'm also like just learning and rediscovering new things about, what it is to promote your podcast brand and get it out there. Because it's been a challenge as well, especially like in this landscape where there's so many podcasts out there. It's really, really tough to kind of get the word out. And but the more niche you are, I think the better it is overall. So let me know how you guys feeling if you're tuning in. Also, if you catch this on the replay, let me know what was the biggest takeaway, and let me know two things. Let me know your podcast niche, number one, and also which category do you fall under? Is it a niche by industry, by demographic, by physical location, by digital platform? Is it by price? Is it by distribution? Is it by a specific problem you're trying to solve? Is it by generation? Or is it a remix? Is it a combination of maybe two or three of these that I mentioned? So let me know when you catch this on the replay. And when I saw this, it really helped me create and look at this more of a framework. Like this is going to help me even with my podcast coaching clients, because I think if you just go down the list and really think about, okay, where do I fit in? And this sounds cool. Let me just focus on local, or let me focus on this demographic or this generation or this industry. I think if you can nail that down, it'll help you build your brand a lot quicker. So let me know in the chat room how you guys feel. How are we doing on time? I think we're doing a lot. We're moving pretty quickly, which I like. I like moving quickly. So let me know if you guys have any comments. Do you guys have any questions? Also, like I'm open to some pushback as well. Is something that maybe you don't agree with? Are you for keeping it general? Do you feel like there's room for that? Is it just general? Do you want to niche it down? Let me know in the chat room. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Alex, I would like to hear your thoughts because you're a content creator, consumer. So from your world, I'm curious to know. What do you think? So Alex says here, finding a niche can be hard. Some people find theirs and some stumbled upon it by accident. It's so true, Alex. It goes back to what I was saying. When I come across clients who are like, they're stuck, man, they're just like, yo, like, I really don't have a niche. I kind of want to keep it general. I always encourage them. Let's go ahead and start, right? Start your podcast, start your YouTube channel, throw spaghetti on the wall, see what sticks, what doesn't, and then we can go ahead and make pivots and we can make moves. What happens is that not say that they don't hire a coach, but they don't find a professional who can really help them. Like they stay within the hamster wheel and they don't know like what's sticking. And then they're on the Facebook Reddit forums talking about how can I grow my channel or how can I grow my podcast? And I'm like, yo, you really need some professional ears and somebody who can give you some constructive feedback to say, yo, you tried it, it's not working. Now let's go back to the drawing board and figure out where we need to pivot and what we need to tweak. I think it's super important. I think a lot of podcasters and a lot of content creators, period, we get so married with the content and we're pushing the content, we're promoting it, we're doing all the things, right? We're putting all the work, but we don't find ourselves and give ourselves space to be able to think about where can we make the improvements. I think it's super important for us to be able to think about that and be mindful of that, right? So thank you, Alex, for dropping that. And I'm curious to know, Alex, in the chat room, man, drop it in there. As a content creator consumer, do you like the people that you follow on Twitch and on YouTube, do you like, general content creators, or do you have a specific content creator preference, like in regards to like a niche, right? Whether it's tech or whether it's, a certain specific game that you're into, I'm curious to know how you consume it. And yeah, drop it in the chat. Let me know. If not, let me know what you thought. I felt like I went through this pretty quickly, but I thought it was so dope that I wanted to share this with you guys because, I think it's just something that we need to talk about a little bit more. And I'm seeing it become problematic for a lot of podcasters. So I challenge you to whether you catch this on the replay, wherever you're catching this, to think about your podcast as a niche and who are you going to target and how can you niche it down to attract that audience. When I went through this exercise where we're talking about like certain things, certain industries out in the world, some of my favorite brands, and even like if you think about Red Bull, right? Red Bull has a specific niche. And if you think about the way Red Bull operates, you guys fan of Red Bull? Any Red Bull fans? I'm not a Red Bull drinker, but I freaking love the brand and what it represents because they did an amazing thing and really clever of, creating a product, but centering events around their people, around their audience, right? So a lot of like breakdance events and motocross and a lot of really fun events. And all they do is just bring people together, and then they just happen to sell a product called Red Bull, and you can just drink it while you're at the event. And I think it's a really clever way of incorporating events and culture centered around the thing they do. But for the most part, I'm not part of Red Bull's market. The Red Bull's market is maybe, early 20-year-olds, mid 20-year-olds, young people. That is their market. So again, they create events that are going to attract that demographic. And that's the reason why they're so popular, because they have nailed down the brand. They're not going to market us, well, at least myself, because although I do like breakdancing, I do get down with the Red Bull B-Boy Championship. So, I'm not, come on, I'm still in their market, y'all. But you know what I mean? I think it's important for again, to brands to understand who specifically they're going to target. And if you look at all the successful brands, they all do the same thing. All right. So Alex is dropping in real quick, man. Appreciate the chat comment, brother. Well, it's funny you mentioned it because the channel I regularly follow started as a tech and video game videos. And Alex, are you driving? Tech and video game videos, and they gradually evolved into a tech and general news. Okay, got it. Okay, let me see if we break this down. So I think what does it for me is their personality, and how about a joke about a current event. Okay, cool. So when I'm picking up here, Alex, is that you're okay with, usually they'll have like two combinations, right? So you mentioned here that this particular channel you follow, it started as a tech and video game, right? And then they evolved to tech and general news. And then, but at the end of the day, when I'm picking up, Alex, is that entertainment rules the world, right? So you can keep it general. Excuse me. And I've said this before. You could keep it general. And I've actually followed a couple of podcasts on YouTube. Forgot the name. And I'm going to say this because you may not be a big fan, and I'm not a huge fan at all. Y'all know this guy named Jake Paul? Logan Paul, the Paul brothers. Y'all know who they are? I'll pause. Let me get some water. Y'all know the Paul brothers, and they have a podcast, right? Yeah. Have you ever listened or watched their YouTube channel? Let me know, Alex. No driving and typing, bro. I know you're with us, man, but be careful out there, man. Love you. So I was watching the Paul brothers, and I was like, let me check out what they're doing, right? They have, over 1 million followers, right? I was checking out their content, and one of the things that really stood out, and I was looking at it from just a different perspective, objective perspective, regardless of what I personally, see, how Jake Paul and actually both of them try to get into the whole boxing game, all that. No judgment, because at the end of the day, they are like diehard content creators. They're amazing marketers, have a great team, and they got super hustle, and they're doing their thing. So no judgment. And I definitely can't judge their podcast because I was watching their podcast on YouTube, and I was like, let me check these cats out. Like, I know they have like a massive following. Let me check them out. So I was checking them out, and the thing that I've noticed about it is like, okay, I'm like still watching these cats. Like, what's happening? I'm not really into like the Paul brothers. Like, I'm really not into them. Never been a big fan. But I started watching them, and I was like, you know what? They're super entertaining. Super entertaining. And I'm like, that's it. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to content creation and putting out content, I think the more comfortable you are in your skin, and I'm learning this too, right? Doing the live streaming can be completely 100 with you. Like, I'm still getting comfortable. Even like I talk about this on my podcast, like even like wiping off the mic rust and getting comfortable with being a podcaster again, because I've been coaching everybody, but even being behind the mic, it's taking me some time, right, to kind of get into my skin and into my voice, right, to own my voice again. And even with this live streaming, like, this is new to me, right? So I'm trying to stay consistent, but I know like the more comfortable you get and the more personality, the more you amplify your personality, I think the more people will gravitate towards you. Like, they're either going to love you or they're going to hate you, or they're going to be indifferent. And what I've realized is that if they're indifferent, like, he's okay. Like, you don't want to be that content creator that gets that type of feedback. You want to be the guy that either they love or hate. And I know people cringe, and I don't like to be in this mindset of polarize your community, but I love it when, and if you notice, like some of the most popular content creators, is not so much because, or Mr. Beast or Jake Paul or Peter McKinnon and some of these cats, they're not. It's not because they're entertaining in their own way, right? But one of the things that I discovered about the secret of the popular content creators is that they have a stance, like they have, like, they're not intentionally trying to polarize and trying to piss people off, but they're really going into it saying, I believe in this, right? And that's kind of like what I did with the whole Spotify when I did it recently. Like, that was my coming out of like, yo, this is what I believe in. And even if you don't feel me, it's okay, because this is what I believe in. Like, I gotta like be who I am and share what's in here and what's in here. And I think that when you play it safe, and a lot of podcasters try to play it safe and don't really vocalize and share what they really feel, like authentically who they are, then that's when you get the people that are just, I really don't care, But when you really have a stance and you have heart behind your content, you either are going to bring people together, or you're going to have people that are going to be like, yo, I really don't like him. And get this, and this too, because I remember like back in the days when I used to hate on, specific music artists. I remember I would still listen to it. Like, it's so true. Like, even, the haters gonna hate, but the haters are still taking time to watch your stuff. So you're almost creating, what did they say? Like, a hater is kind of like a secret fan. Like, they're, really your fan. They just don't, they just hate you so much, but they're just trying to, and it might be just ego, like, but they hate you so much, but really, they really love you, because they're taking out the time to share some love, So I feel like I went on a tangent. I'm so sorry, y'all. I went all over the place with this one, but I think it all kind of gets it's all intertwined with each other, right? Is niching it down and knowing that when you niche it down, that you're going to not please everybody. And I think being okay with not pleasing everybody is part of building a successful branded niche. It's super, super important. So um, again, I challenge you once again to look at your podcast brand and figure out how can I niche it down to solve problems, right? To provide massive value to my audience and also to provide entertainment to my audience, because we got some viewers on here, 6 people, and I am grateful for your time and attention always. And I never take that for granted. And again, in a world where there's so much content out there and there's so many people creating podcasts and it's gotten a little bit saturated. But at the end of the day, the cream always rises to the top, as they say. And I think the ones that are consistent and the ones that really nail down their brand and get comfortable with their voice, with owning their voice and their message and getting that to the world, the more you bring that to the world, the more you'll attract more eyeballs and more earbuds into your content. So it's super important to keep that in mind as you proceed with your podcast, as you proceed and create content for your YouTube channel or anywhere else. All right. You feel me? You guys with me? Alex, what's going on? I'm not sure if you guys are with me. I see you. And Alex just said, well, people just become addicted to the controversy. It's so true. So true. That's the reason why people love, the political talk, whether it's, CNN or Fox News and, the Bill O'Reillys and, Rush Limbaugh when he was around, people really love that. What's his name? Alex Jones, which got some heat recently about being pulled off from Spotify because he's very controversial. He's one of those conspiracy theorists, right? Joe Rogan, went through the fire recently. So again, there are a lot of people here that are going to create content. I mean, let's look at Alex. I know you're a big fan. I'm a big fan. Eminem, right? Aside from skill set, because he's a super talented artist, Eminem was very controversial. And he was saying things and he was blasting on pop culture when he first came out of the gates. And that really was a beautiful, brilliant. And I don't know if that was Dr. Dre, because Eminem, y'all, I mean, I followed Eminem back in the mixed, tape days when he was doing rap battles, rap Olympics. And he did not sound like the way he sounded when he came out with, "Hi, my name is," he did not sound like that. And he was blasting on Britney Spears and NSYNC, but, he probably felt that way. And he had a coach. Okay. All right. He had a coach, Dr. Dre, who was like, yo, let's go ahead and let's speak your truth. Let's speak your mind and get that on the mic. And he had a lot of variables, right? He was a white kid from Detroit. He could spit, right? Dope MC, right? And he got controversial. So even if we think about like what I just discussed, like on the niching, like he really attacked specific things, and he was part of it, right? He was a part of a specific demographic generation, right? And he was using things, right, to blast on pop culture, and that's how he kind of in the beginning caught a lot of attention, So it was a brilliant marketing move, because the Eminem that we all know, like the old school hip hop heads, he was not the Eminem that was Slim Shady, which was his alter ego. So again, that's all branding. So I'm not saying here, go ahead and create your Slim Shady version of your podcast. But what I'm saying here is to really think about the market space and what the most successful content creators, professionals, artists have done in the past, and how can you infuse that? You don't have to be controversial, but I believe you have to have a stance. You have to have a stance. And way too many people are repeating everything that everybody else is saying. Even with this, right? I'm curating content. I'm sharing this, but I added something. I was inspired by it, where I was like, yo, this is going to be super helpful for my people, but I'm also going to add something because I got inspired to add something. So I'm adding something to the conversation and then sharing it with you. So think about, even again, your podcast, when you have a woman entrepreneur podcast or a creative entrepreneur podcast or a fitness podcast, what are you bringing to the table? And don't polarize for the sake of polarizing, but bring it because you have done the work and you have a different perspective and you're putting your own remix to it. And I think that's what's going to attract people to your niche. You feel me? Oh my God, I went on a rant, yo. Jesus. Indocon, what's up, man? You still in the house, bro? He came up in the rap battle scene, used those skills to blow up. Absolutely, man. He did, Jesse. He did. And I think, mind you, it wasn't really the rap skills that really blew him up, because we all knew him, the hip hop heads, as a rap battle MC, right? But the really cool thing about Eminem is that if you listen to like his old school mixtape, he was just like a raw spitter. Like he was just really, really dope. And then when Dr. Dre got him, and I think Eminem talks about this in interviews. He talks about how, it was more of helping Eminem write songs. Like M was talking about like, yo, I didn't even know what a hook was, and I didn't even know none of this stuff, and Dr. Dre helped him, coached him in helping him learn the art of writing hit songs. So he was raw talent, and he was a battle MC, but Dre was like, yo, let's introduce you to this world, which is hit making, writing good songs, hooks, simplifying your rhyming just a tad bit. Because if you listen to M's first stuff, he wasn't rhyming like the way he's rhyming now. I feel like we got into a little hip hop talk here, but it's all tying in, y'all. I promise you, it's all tying in. But all of that, Dre crafted that, helped him get to his spot, right? And then Eminem became who Eminem is now today, right? And he's evolved since when he first came out with his first album. So yes, he did come back as an MC, a rap battle MC, Jesse, going back to it. His skills did blow up, but he had good coaching, and he had a good coach. Like I share with you, like I am with you. I'm saying I'm not boasting on myself, but you know what I mean, Jesse, where I'm like, do that. Like, right? A good coach will say, yo, scrap all this. You got raw talent. Like, do this instead. Like, F all the noise. Do this. And I think that's what a good coach does, is really break through the noise and be like, yo, I know you're doing a bunch of things, right? Very much like when I get clients, they're like, yo, I want to do this. And I do a podcast on it. I'm like, yo, all that is whack. Do this. And when they do it 10 times out of 10, I'm telling you, and I'm not saying this to brag or boast, but they nail it. And the next thing you know, they come back to me, it's like, yo, thank you so much, because I thought I was doing it right. And come to find out I was doing the most. And none of that was really, landing with people. And now I'm doubling down on this specific niche, this specific demographic, and this vibe. I'm comfortable behind the mic because of this. And now I'm crushing it. So again, it comes down to getting some good coaching and somebody who can give you some objective feedback to say, let's go ahead and craft it, make it beautiful, package it up. And then now we got a niche. Now let's attack it. Same thing applies from Eminem. Same principles applies to podcasting. You feel me? Boom. I'm glad you're feeling it, Alex. I'm not even looking at the time, yo. I'm just flowing. I feel like Eminem. Yo, hi, my name is O. Okay. Don't get me rapping over here. Eminem gave rise to popularizing the alter ego. Yeah, he did. I don't think he was. I think there was MF Doom and there was a few others that were doing it, Alex. But yeah, he definitely was the one who made it popular. The whole alter ego thing, which is brilliant. Which is brilliant, man. Thank God for like the 90s hip hop, right? Oh my God, that was the golden era. We don't have MCs like this. His early style very similar to Master Ace Inc. Yeah, man. Nick, I know you're all about hip hop as well. Yeah, he was an old school MC. Had a different style. As a matter of fact, if you listen to some of his early music, was very like Nas, was very like New York Nas. He was trying to get down with that style. It was pretty dope. Big fan. And then loved. I don't know what happened to me, y'all. We were talking about niching it down. What are we doing at the time? I was like, yo, like 30 minutes ago, I was like, hey, we got 30 minutes, this is gonna be an early one. But I feel like it's all tying in, I'm going on a tangent. I'm talking about hip hop, but whether it's Eminem and we're bringing in different things, I feel like this goes back to like what I was saying earlier, right? It's all about finding a remix and finding different things, analogies and metaphors to be able to help podcasters understand the importance of niching down, the importance of finding the remix, right? The importance of finding what makes them different, zag while everybody else is zigging. And I think it's super important for you to really think about that. So I'm on it, man. I'm on it. Boom, boom. Jesse, very true. He's always been a lyrical genius, but Dre molded him to be a hit maker. Period. Alex, keep it going full. I need to do what Jesse does. Jesse and Alex, I know you're on Twitch. Some of these cats go like 12 hours long. I'm like, damn, that's a double shift. I don't know if I could do that. But this is so much fun. Like, this is really, really a lot of fun. And I can definitely go on for hours and hours. Which, Alex, I think this is what you were talking about, brother, earlier, right? To just kind of flow and do more live streaming like this. I'm down with that. I feel like I need to do that more often. And if you guys give me permission, if you guys are here to pay attention to my rants, then I'm all for it, man. I'm with the people, y'all. Janu, hip hop is a niche, no doubt. But you know what, Janu? Peep this. You got me going. Got me going. Hold up. Check this out. Hip hop is a niche, but even get this though, Janu, and Jesse and Nick and Alex and anybody else watching this. Hip hop is a niche, but it's even ultra niche. Like, there's like alternative hip hop. Like, when I was in the game, we were like a live instrumental, like hip hop, funk, jazz fusion group. You know, there's also like, conscious hip hop, right? Gangster hip hop, right? What other there's a ton now, right? Trap music, right? That's trap. Now we're talking more new school. Hyphy, there's all these styles within hip hop. So even within the genre of hip hop, right, that's a niche, but now you're getting into specific ultra niches. And the MCs that were within the ultra niches were really successful. Common, you guys know Common, the MC, he came up as a conscious hip hop. Dr. Dre and WA, gangster hip hop. Ice-T, gangster hip hop. Slug, that was alternative hip hop. You guys know Macklemore. Macklemore was actually an alternative conscious hip hop artist. People don't know that he went pop, but he was actually a very conscious, and you can hear the tone. But when he first came up, he was a very conscious alternative hip hop cat. So again, Janu, that I'm all saying this tied in within the topic, staying within the context of this live stream here, is that niching it down, you can always go deeper. You can always go narrow. And the more narrow you go, the more you'll find like specific tribes that will be like, I like that. I really feel that. I like that. And you can grow, right? Grow 1,000 true fans with that. It's super feasible. So, boom. Look what you did, Janu. Eminem definitely found a niche in hip hop game, and some old heads hated him for it, but he took it to the bank. Man, that's an understatement, Nick. Seriously, that's an understatement. Big bank, bro. Big bank. Eminem is, amazing. He's a multi-millionaire, and he created his lane. And one of the things I love about M, and I feel like it's the Eminem show, y'all. But Alex says that was a hip hop reference. Going back to you, Nick, one of the things about Eminem that I really enjoyed about him, he had a different flow, different style. Again, he would, he brought the battle, and he brought it like against pop culture, and he brought all this other stuff, but he sounded different, right? Like early on, he sounded like Master Ace and Nas. We talk about that, but he really like developed his voice with great coaching by Dr. Dre, and I'm sure he has a few others that were really helping him out, but he really honed in on his voice, and he did sound like nobody else. And I think that's the reason why he took it to the bank, because he created a niche that was like almost kind of like absurd. Like, yo, did he really say that? And even like hip hop heads were like, they couldn't even hate. Like even the heads that were really in the game for a minute, like the Jay-Z's and the Nas, right, and the Biggies, like they were like, yo, this dude is the real deal. Like he's one of us. Like he can spit. He takes, great pride in hip hop culture. He understands the rap game, but he's bringing something different to the game. And one thing I love about 90s hip hop, which I'm going to apply it to podcasting, is that everybody had style. Everybody had style. Like everybody brought something different, right? So again, I challenge you, when you step into your microphone, and when you step into your arena, and when you bring it into content and the live stream and the content, what style can you bring that's going to make you? That's going to take some time to develop. That's going to take some great coaching to help you get there, to develop the talent, much like back in music, but there was actually a talent development coach who can help you. But also there was also a lot of people that were not afraid to be themselves. And I think in this podcast game, a lot of people are replicating, but they're not really doing what they want to talk about. They're not really doing who they should be, authentically, So I think it's important for people to realize that. And I think you can apply that with podcasting. So Nick, do you, man? I see you like when you're doing your Janu, same thing. I love like the quirkiness and the flows and Jesse as well. And, all of you have style, and that's another thing. If you're catching this on the replay, if you're watching this, like, do not be afraid to own your voice. If you stutter, if you fumble, if you talk fast with your hands, if you use hip hop references every now and then to apply it to podcasting, while everybody else talking about tactics and strategies and I get that, but I'm bringing in like hip hop, like that's my flow. Like I'm bringing hip hop to the podcasting game, and I'm using references and I'm using flows, and I'm going to bring this energy. Why? Because that's who I am, and you may not be a big fan of hip hop, but that's okay, because I am not for everybody. There are other people on YouTube and other people on podcasts that are more tailored for tips and strategies and actionable tips and all that. And that's all great because, I was trying to deliver something here, but we go on tangents and talk about hip hop, and I'll bring something else and I'll try to, remix and do my own thing. So boom. Alex, that was a hip hop reference. Bro, I told you start live streaming. You have the personality. Thank you. Guys, Alex says that I should do more live streaming. Actually, I have a question. I'm going to ask you what I asked Alex. Alex, by the way, thank you for that, man. Alex was like, yo, you need to be doing more live streaming. And I'm like, yo, that's cool. I'm doing it. Like, I'm doing it on a weekly basis. Like, no. I want you to like really, really do the live streaming thing. And I've been thinking about this. And again, if you're watching this, if you're like trying to, like Ozeal went off the left field, feel free to log off if you like. But if not, if you want to vibe with me, let's vibe. I feel like I'm ranting now. I feel like that 2 cups of coffee that's kicking in. So one of the things that I was thinking about was like, I want to live stream more, and I'm probably going to be doing live streaming not only on podcasting because I love this space, right? I'm devoted to you, but I'm also building, the personal development podcast, No Permission Needed. A little shameless plug. Go subscribe, follow, and I really want to start posting other type of content out there as well on a different channel. So let me know. Are there certain topics that you would want me to talk about? Are there certain things that you would want me to live stream or rant about or use hip hop references for? Let me know if there's anything that you feel like, because some of you and the ones that have been chatting, my vibe. Like y'all, I've been on your show and I've been in Pod Houston, and some of you are insiders. So if there's anything that you feel like I should be talking about more often, or something that you feel like you would like to see more of, like, let me know. I'm open for it, because I'm really digging the live streaming, and I feel like I need to be doing more of this, which I'm going to be doing it like every Monday, right? For the podcast community. But rant for I saw that people forgot how to be themselves. So true. And you know why, Janu, right? People forgot to be themselves because we're constantly just tied into social media. And I get it. And I recorded a podcast episode recently about this, about the imposter syndrome. But, in the day and age where we're constantly feel like we're competing with others online, and we're seeing other people, our peers, be more successful, or, outdo us in content output or whatever it is, we feel like a need to like hide, like, right? We want to like, I'm not worthy. And I think this year, part of like even me stepping into the live streaming, and I want to encourage you, right? It's just really lean into your game, like really own your lane, lean into it, because even if people are not listening, you let go of the imposter syndrome once you say, F it, I'm going to do this with or without the applause, right? I'm going to show up to stage if there's 2, 3 people, 7 people, 10 people, 100 people. I'm going to continue giving the energy because I believe in my message. I believe in the platform that I'm building and the people that I'm vibing with you. And that's the most important thing. So I think you're right, Janu, that people forgot to be themselves. And I think the more you are yourself, the more you can really attract a genuine audience. And I think at the end of the day, as content creators, we all want that, is to attract attract a genuine audience, right? To attract the 1,000 true fans. And the only way you could do that is if you kind of peel back the layers, get rid of the old skin, and stop comparing yourself up, and really start not even comparing yourself. Some people say start comparing yourself down, but I don't even like the comparison. I'm like, yo, just put in the reps, embrace who you are, and you are perfect. Like there's nothing. Even your imperfection is perfection. You know what I'm saying? Like do you? And I think that's important. Once you get there, I feel like you'll find the glow. Like the Last Dragon, a little Last Dragon reference there. 90s hip hop was competitive, made it to the cream of the top. That's how I view Hot Houston. I love y'all. I want to see y'all succeed, but y'all make me step my game up because I want to eat. I love it, Nick. That's my dude, man. Smells like middle-aged spirit. Y'all check him out. I had the honor of being on the show. I forgot what episode, Nick, but you're absolutely right, Nick. 90s hip hop was competitive, man, but notice that everybody showed love. And even though it was competitive in regards to how many artists were out in the game, but everybody had a voice, right? Like it was Bone Thugs and Harmony out in the Midwest, right? You had the Fugees out on the East Coast. You had Wu-Tang even further down the East Coast. You had the Ghetto Boys down south. And the West Coast was doing their thing. And if you look at the hip hop landscape, I always refer to the hip hop landscape, especially in the 90s, because everybody was not afraid to be themselves. Everybody had a stance. Everybody had a message. Everybody had a voice that was distinctive, and they weren't afraid to be themselves, and I think that was a truly powerful point in, if you want to call it subculture, but I want to call it culture because it's part of global culture that really stands out for me. And I think there's a lot of principles that we can take as podcasters, as content creators, to be able to apply that to the things that we're currently doing in building our own platforms and communities now in 2022. You know what I'm saying? So I love that statement there. And then rant forever, rant. Oh my God. I need to get back on your show, Janu. Let's rant about something. And then go back to Joe Rogan. You'll talk about Nick was like, yo, if you guys don't know, I did a Joe Rogan on the YouTube channel. I talked about the whole Joe Rogan Spotify issue, and yeah, I was flowing on that one. I was ranting like a mug. So yeah, I may have to do that, man. Just talk about that. Yo, Reggie, what's up, Reggie Beiser? Check him out, Growth Times Infinity Podcast, another personal development podcaster. I'm all for hip hop references. I find myself using them sometimes in my content. Reggie Beiser in the house, insider, fellow insider. Yeah, I know you're a hip hop head, Reggie. So anyhow, man, shout out to my boy. And Reggie, let me know, man. I'm curious to know, because you're in the personal development podcast. Let me know, like, what is your niche, my man? Because you're in the personal development world, but I feel like I'm always sometimes curious to know, like, who are you trying to aim for? Is it personal development for like Gen Xers? Is it like a demographic, a generation? Is it just kind of a general personal development podcast? Have you thought about that? And I challenge you to think about that and see how we can narrow down the niche, because your podcast is like straight fire, man. It's motivation. So highly recommend it. When I see people eat, I want to go eat equals success. Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's it's a table for all, right? For us to eat. When we see other people succeed, what do you want to do? You want to eat with them. You know what I mean? You want to eat with them. And you're right. Eat equals success. I love that, man. Love that analogy. I'm rooting for everyone. Respect, Nick. Respect. I know you are, my man. And then Janu, you are always welcome to Rant Through Life with me, sir. Ranting Through Life podcast. Brand new episode tomorrow. Check it out. So check out Janu. I'm excited. Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. Okay, anyways. I'm like hip hop out. Hello, Cool J. Okay. Let me step back. Do y'all have any final words? What y'all think of this live stream? Was it, in comparison to the other, was this pretty live? Like, let me know. Like, I felt like it got really ranty, but we're about to close it out, I promise you, because I need to head and finish some work. I got work to do. I'm on the clock, y'all. Let me know. Let me know what you guys thought about this live stream. I have next Monday we'll be back live streaming again at 6 a.m. Hello, Ozeal. Now that's way too early because I get up at 5. I'm in the gym around 6, so definitely not doing 6 a.m. lives. I will be back live at 11 a.m. Central Time. So please join me along with these amazing individuals, creators, podcasters like Reggie, like Alex, like Nick, and who else? Jesse and Jesus and some others that were tuning in earlier. If I missed your name, but we have an amazing group. And again, I highly encourage, another thing while we close out and land the plane, to join Pod Houston Facebook community. It's a free Facebook community with some awesome podcasters, and also Podcast Influence Academy if you want to be a part of the dopest, most diverse, awesome, tight-knit mastermind group, Podcast Influence Academy, podinfluence.com, to join our mastermind. We are open for enrollment. If you are serious about podcasting and growing and being a part of an amazing community, we meet up twice a week. So we're vibing, and I don't rant as much when we do this. Sometimes I do, but everybody's ranting and having a good time. So join us there. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I haven't really been posting a lot of YouTube channel. I've been telling myself that I'm going to chop up these live streams and repurpose them on YouTube. I plan on doing that. It's going to happen, but it's going to happen sooner than later. I promise. It's just been working with coaching clients. It's just been all over the place. So I'm going to reel it in and start sharing content on YouTube. So Podcast Influence. Also have another baby YouTube channel, which I may be ranting a lot more. And I'm going to be focusing on that one as well. So be on the lookout for that. I'll drop a link on that one as well. What's up? Janu is our guest this week. She's busy. Uh-oh, does that mean that she's not going to do it? Oh, but she's going to do it. Okay. Yeah, she's going to do it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I look forward to that. I feel like you're making your rounds, Nick. You got everybody in Pod Houston showing love. That's when you really love your community. When you invite Pod Houston members to be a guest on your show, that is love. That is love, Nick. So we appreciate that. On behalf of Pod Houston, we appreciate the invites, man. I'm glad that you're just shining light, showing love. Nick, yo, man, it was fire, man. It was fire. It wasn't too ranty. I appreciate it, man. Thank you for tuning in. And then Reggie narrowed down my niche is still a work in progress. I really need to do that. Reggie, let's talk about it, man. In our next meeting, let's talk about how we can narrow down, because I feel like you have a great podcast, got a great voice, got a great message. And if we can, narrow down who the podcast is for, like personal development for, and maybe niche it down to a specific, again, generation, industry, you can go back on the replay if you caught this. I think it'll help grow your podcast. And again, it'll help with the marketing as well. So we could talk about that. And yes. Speaking of ranting and what's been on my mind, thank you, Nick, for bringing this up. Prayers for Ukraine. I got a lot to say about this. I'll probably share this on a different live and have you join me. But let's go ahead and I'm going to echo what Nick said. Let's prayers for Ukraine. And if you have friends, family there in the Ukraine, and let's just send prayers and thoughts, and let's hope for a peaceful outcome soon. Because it's crazy out there in those streets right now. So prayers to Ukraine. And thank you, Nick, for dropping in on that. Super important to highlight and to recognize. The livest, yo, Alex. Thank you, my man. This was the livest podcast, live stream. I appreciate it. Love this, gyms and laughs. So great. Yo, it's fun. This is so fun. This is fun. We're gonna do it again. Time to decorate. What are you talking about, dude? What do you mean, Alex? You don't like my? Look, man, check this out. I got my right here. I got my diffuser here. I got my son's stuffed animal. This is ladies and gents. This is Butter, by the way. Butter right here. Say hello, Butter. What'd you think of the live, man? Was it cool? You like it? That's what I do with my son. That's what I was doing this past weekend. All right, let me let me stop. Now really, like, yo, Ozeal, cut the live stream, yo. He's playing with stuffed animals. He's playing with stuffed animals. It's over. He's gonna start incorporating voices pretty soon. Now, like, nah, cut him off. No more. But yes, Alex, I feel you, man. I'm gonna start decorating right now. I'm going with the white wall. That's what I'm working with right now until we get the whole studio hooked up. So in the meantime, I'm gonna continue showing up I'm gonna continue going raw, having fun and laughing and bringing you some value and hopefully some tips and some things to help you with your podcast growth. So I appreciate you guys checking out. Love y'all. Gotta run. Head out. Pod Houston hashtag. What up, man? Nick, have a great one. That being said, I'm gonna head out, guys. I have to work. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you catch this live, thank you so much. If you caught this on the replay, just hashtag replay. Let me know what your niche is, number one. Okay. And number two, let me know if there's a specific niche that I mentioned throughout the framework that resonates with you. And if there was any value that you got out of this, and if you appreciated my rants at the end about Eminem and hip hop and stuffed animals, playing with stuffed animals. So anyhow, I'm done. Have a great day, great Monday. Have a great week. We'll be back next Monday at 11 a.m. Central Time on, once again, same channels. Thank you so much for the love. And you're amazing. And you know that, right? Go out, do some amazing work, create a ruckus. I love you. Peace. One love. I'm out. I need some outro music. But I'm out, y'all. I love you.